This is how to read a wiring diagram for dummies. Zero experience needed. We start from nothing. Let me be honest with you. The first time you look at a wiring diagram, it looks like spaghetti. A tangle of lines and little symbols that mean nothing. That is normal, and it is not your fault. But here is the secret. A wiring diagram is not a picture. It is a map. And every map can be read the same simple way, one line at a time. Let me untangle one with you live right now. Here is the trap almost every beginner falls into. You open a wiring diagram and try to take in the whole thing at once. Do not do that. You will drown. Instead, use one repeatable method that works on any wiring diagram, no matter how busy it looks. Step 1. Find a power source and see how power flows. Step 2. Learn the handful of core symbols, just 5 or 6 of them. Step 3. Put your finger on one line and follow it from the source through the component and back. Step 4. Understand where lines meet, a junction or a node. And step 5. Read a real diagram, end to end. Power, symbols, one line at a time, junctions, then the whole thing. That is the entire method. Everything else in this video is just detail on those 5 steps. One quick note before we start. Everything I show you is in a free browser editor. No install, no sign up, no card. It is at CircuitDiagramMaker.app, and the link is in the description. Open a real diagram and untangle it along with me. Step 1. Find a power source, because that is where every wiring diagram begins. The power source is whatever pushes electricity around the circuit. In a small diagram, it is usually a battery, 2 lines, one long and thin, one short and fat, or a source marked with a plus and a minus. In a mains diagram, it is a supply, often drawn as a circle. Here is the one idea that unlocks everything. Electricity flows in a loop. It leaves the source from one side, travels all the way around through the wires and the parts, and comes back to the other side. No complete loop, no flow. So the very first thing you do on any wiring diagram is find the source and its 2 sides, the way out and the way back. Step 2, the symbols. This is the alphabet of the diagram, and you only need a handful to start. A battery or source, the thing that supplies the power. A switch, a break in the line with a little lever that opens or closes the loop. A load, the thing that actually does a job and uses the power. A light is a circle with a cross, a lamp, or sometimes a squiggle. A resistor, a zig-zag, or in some diagrams a plain rectangle that limits how much current flows. And ground, or earth, a set of stacked, shrinking lines, the common reference and safety path. Learn those 5: source, switch, load, resistor, ground, and you can already name most of what you see. When you hit a symbol you do not know, look it up. Every one has a fixed meaning. Now, the one rule that trips up more beginners than anything else: how to tell if 2 wires actually connect. When 2 lines cross on a diagram, look for a dot. A dot on a crossing means the wires are joined. Electricity can pass from one to the other. Note, that means they simply pass over each other, like one road on a bridge above another. No connection at all. That single dot changes everything about how the circuit behaves. So every time you see wires cross, stop and ask, is there a dot? Join, or just crossing? Get that right, and half the confusion disappears. Step 3, and this is the real skill: follow one line at a time. Do not look at the whole diagram. Put your finger or your cursor on the plus side of the source. Now trace that one wire. Where does it go first? Maybe to a switch. Follow it through the switch. Then onto the load, the light, the motor, whatever it feeds. Keep going right through the part and out the other side. Then follow it all the way back to the minus side of the source. That is one complete loop, one circuit. You just read it. If your finger got back to the source without lifting, current can flow. If it hit a dead end or an open switch, it cannot. One line from source through the parts and back. That is reading a wiring diagram. Step 4, junctions, also called nodes. This is where one line becomes many, and it is simpler than it looks. A node is just a point where wires join. Remember, that means a dot. At a node, the current arriving splits and shares between every path leaving it. Think of a river reaching a fork. The same water, now taking 2 channels. Why does this matter? Because it is how one source powers many parts at once. From a single node, a wire can branch off to a light here, another to a socket there, and each branch is its own little loop back to the source. So when you reach a node, do not panic. Just pick one branch, follow it to its end and back, one line at a time. Then come back to the node and take the next branch. A busy diagram is only ever a set of simple loops sharing a few nodes. Now, let's put it together on a real wiring diagram, open straight in the editor. Watch the method work. Find a source, there it is. Trace the wire out of it, through the switch, into the load. Follow it right through, and back to the source. There is your first complete loop. Now spot the nodes where it branches, and trace the next loop the same way. Source, one line, through the parts back, the exact steps we just practiced on a diagram that looked like spaghetti 30 seconds ago. Not sure what a symbol means? You do not have to guess. The editor has a symbol library and a full symbols chart. Every switch, every load, every source, laid out with its name. When you meet a symbol you do not recognize on a diagram, find it here and read what it is. Learn a few new symbols each time you read a diagram, and within a week the spaghetti turns into plain sentences. The fastest way to learn to read is to build. Let's make the simplest possible circuit from scratch. Blank canvas. I search the symbol library and tap parts on a grid. A source for the power, a switch to open and close the loop, and a light for the load. That is a complete circuit right there. These come from the free do-it-yourself pack the guest editor gives you. Then the wires. Press W, click one pin, click the next, and the wire snaps in with clean corners. Now trace your own loop. Source, switch, light, back to source. Build it once, and you will never unsee how a circuit works. When your drawing is done, it can leave the screen. One click opens the export menu. PNG is free, good enough to save, print, or send to someone. The vector formats, PDF, SVG, and DXF, sit on the paid plans. That is the honest business model, said plainly. This tool is ours. For clean diagrams you can read, share, and mark up, it is genuinely good and free start. And you do not have to start from a blank page. The library has thousands of real wiring diagrams, simple circuits, switches, lights, full layouts. Open any of them, hit edit, and practice the method. Find the source, follow one line, spot the nodes. 10 minutes of tracing a real diagram teaches more than an hour of watching me. So that is how to read a wiring diagram for absolute beginners, start to finish. Find the power source and see how power flows. Learn the core symbols, source, switch, load, resistor, ground. Follow one line at a time, from the source through the parts and back. Read the junctions. A dot means joined, no dot means crossing. And practice on real diagrams until the spaghetti reads like plain English. Open a real diagram in the free editor and untangle it yourself. It is at CircuitDiagramMaker.app. No install, no card. Subscribe for a new wiring video every week. See you in the next one.